Hello, hello, my friends. This is Mrs.Jerome-Severe coming to do week 6 Friday's lesson. Yes, you guys are rolling with with these videos because I can tell from your answers you guys are watching the videos. The answers are off the chain. You guys are awesome. And if you are not my student, I am so sure your teacher is praising you, saying, wow, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. So, all right, so parents, have your child ready, sitting in a comfortable place, in a place that's very little distracting going on. Focusing, and get the pencils, get the markers, get the scissors, get the rulers, get everything you need so they don't have to get up. Parents mieux qui j'ennuie, c'est Miss Jerome-Severe qui me font causer avec nous pour me demander nous qui j'ennuie. Nous allons parler pour nous faire leçon 6. Non, leçon vendredi, semaine 6 là. Ok, so petit moun yo chita, on nous prépare pédaler. Okay, let's go, guys. All right, learning goal. We know what a learning goal is. A learning goal is something that we need to know. We have to know. We need to know. We have to know. We must know. Because if we don't know it, then you really don't understand what you're learning. So, a learning goal is like a pathway. It's like a pathway. It leads you to something. So if you know your learning goal, then you are able to do the next lesson, right? So let's see, what are we going to cover for this learning goal? First one, we're going to learn how to make references to 2 stories. We'll talk about that. That's a new one. And the next one we're going to do is we're going to reread Chicago Came Back. I like that story. It was really cool. And then we're going to make references again. After we understand what reference is, we're going to reference the 2 texts. We're going to reference the text Coney Island, how Coney Island came back, and how Chicago came back. And then we're going to complete the graphic organizer. Okay, and then you are going to reread the story. You're going to pick any story of your choice from the story that you've been reading. That you've been reading for this week, and reread it again. Reread it again to someone. Okay. So I was reading the curls that swirl. Oh, that is so cute. I love that story. I think that's really cool. So if I was to reread the story, I would reread that story to someone. I thought that was really cool. That's so cool. All right, so let's get going. All right, so the lesson we're going to be doing today, so the lesson that we're going to do today is going to be compare and contrast. Now, compare and contrast is 2 different, we did that before. We did that before on lesson, I don't remember what week is that, what week it was, but we did compare and contrast. You guys been in 1st grade from August. Let's see how many months you guys been in 1st grade. So let's count August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So we stopped going to school in March. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So you guys been in school for 8 months. And so you know what compare and contrast is. So this is a review. So compare and contrast. Compare mean how they are the same or similar and have something in common. And contrast mean how they're opposite. They're totally different. Okay? So compare and contrast 2 texts on the same topic. So here you are. I don't know if you guys read Summer Jackson. I don't remember I read it to you guys in my classroom. But I know I read Fancy Nancy and Summer Jackson. So Summer Jackson, she's a girl, she's fancy. She's very fancy, and she used all these big words. She used big words, like big vocabulary words like adults. And Fancy Nancy also, she's a girl, but she likes to use fancy words too. But most of her fancy words are in French. So I'm wondering, is she from Paris or somewhere that speaks French? So her words are mainly in French, but she has some English words too that is very extravagant. That's a fancy word. So, and then Summer Jackson grows up, she has a lot of fancy words, but she doesn't use other language. So I don't know. Maybe she was born in America, but Fancy Nancy speaks a lot of word French in her stories. So if we're looking at, so even if you didn't read the story, remember how we say text features, some of the text features. So let's use the text feature of illustration. Illustration is drawing. So if we look at those two pictures, we could do compare, we could do how they the same, and we also could do how they different. Can we? All right, so I want you to look at the pictures really, really good. Look at Summer Jackson, grown up, and I want you to look at Fancy Nancy. I love Fancy Nancy book. I have tons of her books, and I'm going to read some for you guys to put on YouTube. Summer Jackson, she only has one book. I'm so sad. She only has one book. So, you guys see it? All right, so let's go to the next page, and let's do some comparing and contrasting. All right, so now I'm going to try, because I don't like to use this, mouse thing to write on. So, but I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna write um I'm gonna write fancy over here. All right. Maybe I should write Nancy. So I'm gonna write Nancy. I'm gonna write Nancy over here. I'm gonna write Nancy. Because since I don't write so good with this thing, so I'm not gonna try to write all fancy. All right, so here's Nancy. That's one book. And the other side, we're gonna do, what's her name? Summer. Her name is Summer Jackson. So I'm gonna write Summer. Now, because I'm doing the video, I cannot go back. Because it will mess up my video. But you can go back. You can go back to do this with your mom. All right. So, what is one thing we know about Nancy? So she wear fancy clothes, right? Fancy clothes. Fancy clothes. So I'm just gonna write that. Oops. Sorry. So she wear fancy clothes. What else? She's a girl. All right. What else? So you could write. You and your mommy could do it on the paper and do different things. So remember, we're just doing the illustration because I don't want some of you didn't get a chance to read the story, and then you have to try to figure out what the story. So I'm just giving you an example. You could use the illustration, you could use picture, you could use story. All right. So now let's do Summer. Summer, we're gonna say she wear fancy clothes too, right? Fancy clothes. fancy clothes. She's a girl. And I'm gonna write on she's pretty, right? Ooh, gee Louise. I don't like to write with this thing. And then I'm gonna go on Fancy Nancy. She's also pretty. She's also pretty. So as I'm finished writing, what do you notice um between the two girls? Yes, they have a lot of things in common. In common mean they have something that's the same. So they have a lot of things that's the same. And I just wrote three things. Well, one, two, three. Yes, I only wrote three things, but there's so much more that they have that in common. So if you want, you could go on YouTube and you could read the story Fancy Nancy, and you could read the story of Summer Jackson. So you could go on YouTube and you could compare them that way. But we were doing the text feature of the illustration, so we use that. So the next slide, we're gonna see how they different. So that's references. So that's what reference mean. Reference mean what do we find in both books that's the same, and what we find in both books that's different. Okay, what do we find in both books that's the same, and what do we find in both books that's different? Different means separate. The same means the same, alike, connected. All right, and different mean separate. All right, so the next slide we're going to be doing how they are different. All right, so on this slide, we are going to see how they are different, how the two girls' story were different. All right, so I made one. I made one. So how are they different? How are they different? So I'm gonna make a line in the middle. Wow, I'm good. Only made one little silly mistake. I'm good. All right, so how the girls different? F um F for Fancy Nancy. I'm gonna put FN, and then I'm gonna put SJ for Summer Jackson. Oh, this girl has my initial, but it's backwards. All right, so she has my initial. All right. So, what do you know about Fancy Nancy that's different? We'll go back in the video, and what is it? So, Fancy Nancy is she used a lot of French word. Yep. Wait. Use French. So she used a lot of French words. And so her complexion, I don't have room to write that. Her complexion is different. Her complexion is different. So, what is different about Jackson and Fancy Nancy? So you could say Fancy Nancy. I mean, Summer Jackson. Um, Maybe Summer Jackson was born here. She used a lot of fancy English words. Also, her complexion is different. So we could even write that. Or they even have different color hair. So she has black hair. She has black hair. Okay? So I could even write on the other side, Fancy Nancy have blonde hair. Okay? But they still different. Okay? So I could even write Summer Jackson use big fancy English words. Okay? So but they're just different. Okay? They are different. Okay? So that's what different mean. All right. All right, guys. So now that you finish um, you finish reread how Chicago came back. So now you are going to so now we're gonna do the next slide, okay? So Miss Jerome didn't read it for you because you guys are in second grade, so you should be able to read your own story. Oh, isn't Chicago beautiful? Oh, so one day, I hope one day I could go there and visit. Not in the winter time, because Chicago is like New York, always cold. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so now you're going to compare and contrast how Chicago and New York are the same. We're going to compare Chicago and New York. So you ready? So we're going to put NY for New York. And then you're going to do CH for Chicago. And then in the middle, we're going to do both, how they both similar. So, all right. So, what do you know about New York about New York? One thing new about New York that you learned from the story. So, I'm taking my story. I'm going to look at my story. So, I'm going to say, people love to visit Coney Island. So how's that? So I could write that. People, that's one thing about New York. People love to visit Coney Island. So that is that. And what do you know about Chicago? So let's take the Chicago. Has to be different. What do we know about Chicago? Many people come to work there. So we can write that. People go there for work. So let me write that. People go there to work. All right, so that's what we know about Chicago, famous Chicago. Now, I need you to tell me, what do both stories that have that's the same? It could be an event, something that happened that makes them the same. Okay? So what makes them the same? So what do they have that's the same? Very good. If you said there was a fire there, you're absolutely correct. So I'm gonna do that one purple, a blue. So I'm gonna put fire. Or what about if I put had fire? Had a big. The fire was big because it destroyed everything. So big fire. All right. So do you see guys? Do you see the connection? So I try to make it really easy for you so you see it. So when I'm getting your paper, I'm hoping to see the beautiful work that you're doing. Please write nice and neat. Try not to write like Miss Jerome. So that is comparing and contrasting two stories, two texts. Can you do compare contrast illustration? Yes. But this is compare and contrast two texts. Can you compare and contrast two animals? Yes. Can you compare and contrast two cars? Yes. Can you compare and contrast your mom and dad? Yes. Can you compare and contrast your grandma and your grandma from mommy's side and your grandma from daddy's side? Yes. All right. So now you understand what compare and contrast. So you have to have how they different, and then the middle is how they're the same. Okay. All right. All right. Now it's time for you to read to someone. So I hope you've been reading. What do they call it? I hope you've been reading the different stories. I think this week you did the Snoop Dog, and then you did the curly hair. So please read the stories so like that um you can become a better reader. You're getting ready to go to second grade. So second grade is waiting for you happily. So get ready for second grade. All right. So, all right. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, guys. Thank you, parents. Merci, parents yo. So, encouragez ti moun yo repon question an, jan yo wel lan, ka ede yo gen compréhension. So, parents, so this is it. So this is week 6, Friday's lesson. Have a wonderful day and give me a thumbs up. Tell me you like it. So like that, you can get the videos, other videos I'm going to be doing. All right. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff for the summer. So please watch the videos so your kids could know what's coming next. Okay. Bye. Thank you and have a wonderful day.